Well, they say the government is dumping chemicals on us to control or manipulate the weather.
And they say the unusual-looking jet trails in the sky are actually chemical-laden chemtrails.
Could a strange substance found by a southwest Arkansas man be part of a government test? Well, that's the question at the heart of a phenomenon called chemtrails, now getting widespread attention.
Is the government spraying dangerous chemicals over us from planes? Some people believe there's a sinister top-secret mission that's making us sick.
Using technology to reset the Earth's climate ourselves, controlling our weather. Is this really possible?
People say the government is up there in airplanes spraying all kinds of chemicals to change or manipulate the weather, leaving what you see there, and they call that a chemtrail.
We put this into the stratosphere, and it reflects away the sun's radiation, and it counters the effects of carbon dioxide in the lower atmosphere causing global warming. So you counter the global warming.
This first portion of the radar cycle fairly bland and typical, but then you see these bands of very distinct cloud cover moving into the region. That is not rain, that is not snow, believe it or not. Military aircraft flying through the region dropping chaff. Small bits of aluminum, sometimes it's made of plastic or even metallicized paper products, but it's used as an anti-radar issue, and obviously they're up there practicing. Now, they won't confirm that, but I was in the Marine Corps for many years, and I'll tell you right now, that's what it is.
Hi there everyone, Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth, coming at you today from Vancouver here in beautiful British Columbia. We're going to be covering the global Chemtrail and Geoengineering rally, which is taking place in cities all over the world. So we're going to head down to the beach, we're going to speak to some of the protesters about their thoughts on chemtrails, and we're also going to be speaking with the former Premier of British Columbia, Bill Vander Zalm, about his recent stance on geoengineering. Why don't you just start us off by telling us what your name is and what you were doing today?
My name is Jessica.
Tony. Gary Warner.
Suzanne Warner.
Zafsane Bahrami, and I'm one of the event organizers. This is the Vancouver leg of the Global March Against Chemtrails and Geoengineering.
And how did today's rally go?
I think it went really well because we had a lot of people who were just wandering by the art gallery anyways and managed to stay and listen to what we had to say. And lots of people came down the street with us, and we had lots of heads turning and lots of flyers handed out. And that's the most important part, is awareness and planting seeds so that people don't, look up and go, what the hell is that? Like, I have no idea what's going on.
I looked up and there was a checkerboard in the sky, and that's when it hit me. That's when it hit me that these chemtrails were real.
For years now, I've noticed these odd-looking clouds spraying from aircraft. And so then I started looking into it, and that's why I meet with these people and I've marched with them, because this is an abomination what they're doing. And the more you look into it, the more it's upsetting.
Start by paying attention on a sunny day. Stop looking at your phone. Start looking at the sky. That shit is not from the jets. It's not water condensation, because water condensation will evaporate. The stuff that spreads out and forms a haze in front of your sun is particulate matter, and they're putting it there for reasons that are not for our greater benefit.
Why should people know about it? Like, what would you say is the main concern about chemtrails?
Sort of like the same kind of concern you'd have if somebody was spraying bug repellent in your face or something, and especially if they're telling you they're not doing it. Yes, no, we're not spraying anything. That would be annoying to some people.
I can choose to not eat vitamins or do hot yoga or eat organic, or I can even choose, what water I want to drink, but I can't choose the air I breathe.
This is how it works. They're talking about global warming. They're talking about climate change. Now it's climate change. It used to be global warming, but they've got all sorts of reports, diagrams, graphs, charts, political, scientific jargon, and not once do they ever figure in their calculations about the planes spraying. Okay, so yeah, it's like they've got these calculations and they factor in that they've got to tax us even more, but they never talk about the chemtrails.
Their reasons that they will be extremely open about for geoengineering is that they want particulate matter in the sky that's reflective to reflect the sun. And if something is as stupid as it sounds it usually is, that is such a band-aid solution.
Tonight, a community in the San Bernardino Mountains has a real mystery on its hands. The official explanation here is that jet contrails are causing strange lines in the sky, and that it's pollen making people sick on the ground. But others are convinced it is something else, and they ask, is the government experimenting with our weather?
It is called geoengineering, fighting global warming by putting a chemical dust in the atmosphere and reflecting harmful radiation back into space.
You could use barium oxide, for example, which makes big fluffy clouds. You could use tiny little bits of aluminum, which is benign in the environment, and essentially manage the climate.
You've seen them in the sky, those white lines left by planes. Conspiracy theorists call some of them chemtrails. They think they're full of toxins, damaging the environment and our health.
We're here with Bill Vander Zalm, former Premier of British Columbia, and obviously we have the Chemtrail Rally and the Global Geoengineering Rally going on, and you've been outspoken about that lately, but what got you into wanting to cover these types of issues that is really fighting for the freedom of the people of BC?
My wife, Lillian's been bugging me about this. She watches the sky and she sees what obviously aren't contrails. I don't think there's anybody that has looked at the sky with a bit of brains and thought and fairness that could argue that something isn't happening that wasn't happening before. Contrails were something that followed a trail, condensation trails from an airplane, that were narrow and dissipated very quickly. Chemtrails go from horizon to horizon and they spread. And they crisscross and they go next to one another, and pretty soon the whole sky is cloudy. And we don't know who's doing it. We don't know what it is they're putting into the sky. We think it's aluminum, borium, and strontium, but we don't know for sure. No one talks. Governments don't tell us, and they have to know. They can't do that in the sky above us without the provincial and the federal government being aware. So we know something's happening. Few people will deny that something's happening. No one knows exactly what's happening. So I took the initiative at the urging of my friends, and I saw these what I believe to be chemtrails, not only here, but in Palm Springs and any place where you're near an airport. They tend to see more of it because I guess it's convenient. And it's also, we are told, only in NATO countries. It's not in China, it's not in any of those Asian countries, it's not in Russia, it's not in India, it's in all of the NATO countries. North America, Western Europe, that's where it is. So we think maybe it's a NATO initiative, but again, we don't know. So I took this step a few weeks ago to spell it all out. What contrails or what I thought them to be, and I admitted that I don't know everything about it or little about it. I spelled it out as best I could, and I said, okay, government, come clean. Provincial government, federal government, freedom of information, tell us what's happening. You know what's happening. And if you think there's nothing happening, then say so. At least we'll know where we stand. And they'll know that we're watching. That's the benefit. I also wrote municipalities in case the province and the federal government tends to ignore us, as they might, or delay things, hoping it'll go away. I wrote all the municipal governments, all the regional districts, all the cities, and I said, I want you to pass a resolution to say that no foreign particles for climate control be spread in the sky above your jurisdiction. And I think municipal governments, at least a good many of them, should be supportive of that, because why would local government close to the people agree to something being spread in the sky. So even if they thought it wasn't happening, it would be difficult for them to say, we're not going to pass the resolution. I think the people are being left out of the process. Government has lost complete contact with the people. It's a mess. And the average person out there, if you ask them, do you really trust the government? They'll say no. A whole lot of them, a large percentage. Whether it's here or Ontario or elsewhere in Canada, I think a lot of people have lost their trust in government, which is really sad, because the government is supposed to be there to represent the people. They're elected to do things on our behalf and to communicate with us. That's all gone. I think the best thing that's happened is the internet. We're getting information out that never used to get out. It's no longer one-sided. It's no longer dictated from some elite group. So that's good. So I think that's going to make a difference. So it's all of those things. It's a whole combination of things. So I'm glad to see you here. I'm glad to see this will be reported on media. I'm glad there's a demonstration tomorrow. I don't know, it may be that there's some good explanation from government for what's happening, but they haven't been forthcoming. We don't know. And that's bad.
Do you have any advice for anybody who wants to get involved in this kind of a movement, wants to continue after today, after all the global rallies in the coming days and months and weeks from now? What should people do to get involved in this fight?
Okay, well, go and find an anti-chemtrail movement in their own cities.
Once you acknowledge about the chemtrail spraying, I think most people feel that they should try to do something. The ocean is just full of one little drops of water, but together they're a huge ocean, and there's no hope to stop this unless people do get involved.
There certainly is talking about it and bringing the conversation up on a regular basis to new people. There's, of course, great websites. There's one here in Vancouver and local groups and chat groups. If you get 1, 2, 3 new people or somewhere this week, the stars will align and somebody will have heard something here about chemtrails, and then they'll look up and see them and their kid says something to them about it. Like, you know, that's, I guess, how this has to go.
We need people who know about this stuff, the people who work at airports, the people who work in the chemical industry, in the military-industrial complex, to come forward. You know, are we liars? Are we kookies? Or is there something going on?
It's our sky, it's our sun, it pertains to everyone, you know what I mean? It's not like, oh, this country's having a war over here, I don't give a shit about it. It's like, we need to be aware of this because it's death from above, man.
Hopefully we'll be able to raise awareness of the chemtrails just that little bit more. And that's all we can hope for. Because I can only think that if everybody knew that this was happening, it couldn't happen.
When there's a protest, even if you question the protest, whether it's decriminalizing marijuana or whether it's HSD or smart meters, or as we see it in Vancouver tomorrow and other cities across North America, to protest chemtrails, participate. That sends a message to all people in government that, hey, you know what? We're being watched. People do care. They're wanting to get involved. We got to be a little more careful. I think people have to become more involved. If you don't want to be led down the garden path, if you don't want to end up being totally controlled, you better get involved now. Get involved one way or another. Ask your politicians. Make them answer the questions. Get involved.